Hello, welcome to the Administrative Order 360 Stakeholder Input Session on Title 20, Chapter 14, the Alaska Student Loan Corporation. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. The purpose of this meeting is to hear directly from stakeholders and members of the public regarding regulatory burdens or barriers in our current regulatory environment and those you believe should be addressed as part of Alaska's regulatory reform initiative. Your input is critical in helping us shape meaningful changes that support students, families, and post-secondary institutions. We will begin our meeting momentarily.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jackie Hall, and I'm the Program Manager and Agency Regulations Liaison for the Alaska Student Loan Corporation. I'm joined today by Cordell Thompson, Program Coordinator and co-host of our meeting. First, I'd like to take a moment to explain how today's session fits into the broader regulatory process. These stakeholder meetings provide an opportunity for us to hear your perspectives before any regulations are drafted, amended, or repealed. Your feedback is essential to help us identify pain points, redundancies, as well as opportunities to improve clarity. However, keep in mind that your feedback does not guarantee that every suggestion will be adopted. This meeting is not considered a formal public comment process under the Administrative Procedures Act. That process will begin later after draft regulations have undergone legal review and have been formally approved for public comment. As part of our regulatory reform plan, corporation staff will create a list of all comments received during the stakeholder process and document whether we intend to implement each recommendation. If we do not adopt a recommendation, we are required to explain why not. This is why your feedback today is so valuable. It will directly shape the corporation's analysis and inform you of the steps that the corporation will take for regulatory reform. Here's how our meeting will proceed today. First, we'll provide a high-level overview of the regulations for this meeting. Then we'll move to the comment period where you'll have an opportunity to share your input. All questions received during this comment period will be summarized and made available on our website, as well as the Alaska Online Public Notice System. All comments will be summarized and included in the corporation's reform plan. And we'll provide instructions when we get to the public comment portion of our meeting. However, if you prefer not to provide oral testimony today, we encourage you to submit written feedback. To make it a bit easier, we have developed a survey that provides a link to each section of the regulation for you to review and provide input. Of course, you don't need to comment on every section. Feel free to comment on only those regulations that are of particular interest to you. Written comments can also be submitted through the Alaska Online Public Notice System or by email, and we'll put links to these resources in the comment box. The comment period will remain open for 30 days following this session to allow stakeholders to submit additional written feedback. All right, so as background, Administrative Order 360 is Alaska's regulatory reform initiative issued on August 4th by Governor Dunleavy to improve the quality, transparency, and the efficiency of Alaska's regulatory environment. The initiative calls for a statewide review of existing administrative regulations to reduce our regulatory burdens by 25% by the end of 2027. The corporation's administrative regulations are in Title 20 of the Alaska Administrative Code under Miscellaneous Boards and Commissions. And today we'll be going over Chapter 14, the Alaska Student Loan Corporation. The Alaska Student Loan Corporation, or ASLC, is a public corporation and government instrumentality established in 1987 by the Alaska Legislature for the purpose to help Alaska students access affordable financing for post-secondary education. ASLC's primary responsibilities are to authorize and oversee ASLC investments, fund education and refinancing programs, and to set investment policies, fees, interest rates, and loan program benefits. The regulations in Chapter 14 include Article 1, bond issues, selection of underwriters, interest rates, and late fees. Article 2, Alaska Education Loan Refinancing Program, and Article 3, general provisions. This presentation will provide a high-level overview of each section, and as we walk through these articles, we encourage you to think about whether the current regulations create unnecessary burdens, whether they meet today's needs, and what changes might better serve schools, students, and families. We encourage you to follow along if you're interested in seeing the regulatory details, and we'll enter links for each article in the chat box. So first we will cover Chapter 14, Article 1, bond issues, selection of underwriters, interest rates, and late fees. The citations include 20 AAC 14.010 through 14.055. Starting with 20 AAC 14.010, the purpose of Article 1 is to authorize the executive officer of the Alaska Student Loan Corporation to prepare and select underwriters for bond issues, granting them final decision-making authority on underwriter selection. 20 AAC 14.015 regarding selection of underwriters for negotiated sale requires the executive officer to select underwriters for negotiated bond sales from a qualified underwriters list, or QUL, which they compile and update as needed. 20 AAC 14.020 qualified underwriters list. This section sets the policies, authority, and guidelines for selecting investment banking firms to be included on the qualified underwriters list. 20 AAC 14.025 regarding requests for statements of qualifications. This section outlines the process the executive officer of the Alaska Student Loan Corporation must follow to select investment banking firms for inclusion on the qualified underwriters list. 20 AAC 14.030 method of sale. This regulation covers before issuing bonds, the executive officer must consult with the corporation's financial advisor and review the transactions to recommend whether the bond should be sold through a negotiated sale or a competitive sale. 20 AAC 14.035 underwriter selection process. The executive officer recommends the bond sale method to the board, which makes the final decision. For negotiated sales, underwriters are chosen from the qualified underwriter list through a formal proposal and an evaluation process. 20 AAC 14.040 for bond purchase agreement. This regulation covers the bond purchase agreement and must state that the Alaska law applies. The corporation will not indemnify underwriters, or underwriter compensation cannot exceed the amount proposed in their original financing proposal. 20 AAC 14.045 competitive sale transaction. For a competitive sale, the executive officer consults advisors, structures the bond issue, and prepares financing documents. The board authorizes the sale before bids are solicited, and any firm, not just those on the QUL list, may bid. 20 AAC 14.050 covers loan interest rates, loan credits, and loan fees. This section governs how the corporation sets loan interest rates, credits, and fees. In short, this section ensures that loan rates and fees are set reasonably, covering costs while maintaining program stability and compliance. 20 AAC 14.055 covers late fees. The corporation may charge a late fee of up to $15 for loan installments that are 30 days or more past due, but the fee cannot be waived if a payment deferment is approved. The fee can be approved if a payment deferment is approved. This applies to loans originated, purchased, or partially purchased by the corporation. Next, we'll cover Article 2, Alaska Education Loan Refinancing Program. This article includes citations 20 AAC 14.200 through 14.240. 20 AAC 14.200, which is the purpose. The Alaska Education Loan Refinancing Program provides residents of the state the opportunity to refinance qualified education loans into one new loan in order to lower borrowing costs or enable a borrower to better manage the loan repayment obligation. 20 AAC 14.205 covers that most provisions governing the Alaska education loans in Chapter 15 also apply to the refinancing program. However, a borrower or a cosigner who previously defaulted is not considered in default for refinancing eligibility if all current payments are up to date. 20 AAC 14.210 includes the application procedure. An individual applying for a refinancing loan must complete and submit an application and promissory note provided by the Alaska Commission on Post-Secondary Education. Commission staff establish an application period and will close the application period based on available funding. 20 AAC 14.215 covers priority ranking of applicants. If available money is not sufficient to fund all eligible applications, refinancing loans will be awarded to applicants in the order in which the Commission receives completed applications. 20 AAC 14.220 covers eligible loans. Refinancing loans can include federal student loans, private or state education loans, and previously refinanced loans. Loans must be current in payment, and if borrowed by a family member, the student must have been an Alaska resident when the original loan was originated. 20 AAC 14.225, applicant eligibility. Applicants must meet state eligibility requirements under Alaska Statute 1443-122B, be a U.S. citizen, and have a good credit history, or provide a qualified cosigner. They must also be an obligated party or a student beneficiary on the loans that are being refinanced. 20 AAC 14.230 covers conditions and limitations of loans. Refinancing loan amounts are based on the outstanding balance of underlying loans. The corporation may set minimum and maximum limits, and loans over $50,000 require the applicant to have earned the credential tied to the original loan. 20 AAC 14.235 covers interest rates and fees. Refinancing loans follow the interest rate and fee rules in 20 AAC 14.050. Interest accrues from the loan's origination date, and unpaid interest may be added to the principal balance after origination. 20 AAC 14.240 covers terms of repayment. Repayment begins within 60 days of loan origination with a minimum monthly payment of $100 or enough to repay the loan on the original schedule. Repayment typically is 5 to 15 years, but may be adjusted for hardship situations. Payments apply first to fees and then interest and any remaining amount to the principal balance of the loan. A cosigner's obligations generally mirror the borrower's, but remain enforceable even if the borrower's obligation is discharged or canceled. And finally, our last section covers Article 3, General Provisions, and includes 20 AAC 14.900. This citation includes the definitions for this chapter, and this section defines key terms used in Chapter 14 and provides clarity for bond sales, loan programs, and refinancing procedures. Now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Cordell, who will provide instructions for providing public testimony.
Hello, my name is Cordell Thompson. We will now begin the input portion of the meeting. To go over a few guidelines, if you wish to submit a formal question or comment, please go ahead and enter your name into the chat box. If you are participating via telephone, we will unmute your line and ask you to provide your name and whether you would like to submit a formal question or comment. And if so, we will add your name to the list. When your name is called, please unmute yourself, state your name and affiliation, and share your question or comment. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to provide public testimony. If you prefer, you can submit comments in writing via the survey, email, or through the Alaska Online Public Notice System. The comment period will remain open for 30 days following this session to allow stakeholders to submit additional written feedback. And please remember that we are here to listen. We will not be engaging in debate or responding directly to comments or questions during this session. All questions received during the comment period will be summarized and made available on our website and the Alaska Online Public Notice System. All public comments will be captured for the agency's record and considered as part of our Administrative Order 360 Regulatory Reform Plan. We will now give you a couple of minutes for anyone who would like to submit their name in the chat box for public comment.
Thank you, everyone. We received no requests for public testimony today. As a reminder, the comment period will remain open for 30 days. We encourage you to share additional thoughts in writing to ensure that we capture all perspectives. The corporation will review all stakeholder input, determine whether each recommendation can be implemented, and explain our reasoning for those that we cannot. This analysis will be completed before draft regulations move forward into the formal public comment process under the Administrative Procedures Act. Your engagement today is essential in shaping reforms that matter for Alaska students, families, educators, and post-secondary institutions. ACPE will be conducting additional stakeholder meetings on Chapter 17, Regulation of Post-Secondary Education Institutions, on Tuesday, October 28th, from 10 a.m. to noon. Chapter 18 on the WICHE Professional Student Exchange Loan Program, and Chapter 19, Financial Support for the WWAMI Program, on Wednesday, October 29th, from 10 a.m. to noon. On behalf of the Alaska Student Loan Corporation, thank you for your time and commitment. We will now conclude this public stakeholder meeting on Title 20, Chapter 14 of the Administrative Code on Wednesday, October 22nd at 1:51 p.m. Thank you.